So to brave and party souls, thanks so much for coming. I'm Courtney Computy, and I'm chair of the Friends of the Ship Caulkers Houses. We're a 503 organization who the owner of these houses, the Preservation Society, has tasked with their restoration and coming up with a long-term self-sustaining plan for their future needs. If we were standing here in 1840s and 50s Fells Point, a few decades before the Civil War, these houses would already be 40 or 50 years old and home to at least 3 free African-American ship caulkers and their families. Across the street, the marsh that was there when the houses were built would have been largely filled in and improved by many of the houses you see now. The open waterfront would be much closer than it is today. In fact, there would be 3 shipyards within a block and a half of these houses, including Kemp's Shipyard, where the privateer, the Chasseur, was built, later popularly known as the Pride of Baltimore. This part of Fells Point between Alisana and Fleet Street, including the adjacent block just to the west, would at that time have been home to a community of free blacks, many of whom worked in maritime trades, the most profitable of which was ship caulking. Their stories are not known to most Baltimoreans, nor their contributions to Fells Point's prominence as a port and shipbuilding capital. What is also not commonly known is their fierce commitment to education and community, fueled in part by the financial stability offered by ship caulking. The Friends Group hopes to make their story well known, and restoring these houses is a first step. I'm now happy to introduce Ann Raines, Deputy Director of the Maryland Historical Trust.
Good afternoon. I'm Ann Raines. No relation to the weather. Deputy Director of the Maryland Historical Trust. I'm here today to present the 2024 Maryland Preservation Award for Excellence in Restoration to the Ship Caulkers Houses here in the 600 block of South Wolf Street in Fells Point. Since 1975, the MHT Board of Trustees has honored the outstanding preservation efforts of individuals, businesses, nonprofits, local governments, and others who protect, steward, and share the historic places and cultural heritage that make Maryland unique. That these 2 rare wooden houses, part of a group of 8 that were constructed around 1798, still stand in the 21st century in Baltimore's dense and ever-changing urban environment is truly remarkable. From the way they looked even a few short years ago, many doubted that they could or would be preserved. 20 years ago, the building's character-defining features could have been cataloged as follows: geometrically impossible arrangements of roof slopes, a rear wall constructed of soggy, sagging MDF, a rear roof slope comprised of 3-inch thick shingles made of moss, and gravity-defying chimney stacks. We're fortunate that the Society for the Preservation of Federal Hill and Fells Point and the Friends of the Ship Caulkers Houses knew that beauty is more than skin deep, and real treasures lay in the secrets to be told by concealed framing, old nails, original plaster, and layers of paint. Going deeper, they also found beauty and meaning in the stories the building holds, perhaps most significantly of the community of both free and enslaved blacks living and working in Fells Point before the Civil War. In the antebellum years, these 12 by 16, 1.5-story, 2-room houses on Wolf Street were inhabited by 3 black ship caulkers, including Richard Jones, Henry Scott, and John Whittington, who were among many employed in Fells Point shipyards, waterproofing the hulls of ships. For several years, as the restoration has proceeded, the Friends of the Ship Caulkers Houses, via the very painful conduit of Sarah Grosbeck, have been sending MHT extremely detailed documentation of and justification for changes to any element of original or historic fabric. Often, elements that were missing from one building could be found in the other, allowing for an accurate restoration of both buildings. Truly, despite the intensive effort involved in saving these fragile buildings, No detail has been too small to be worthy of the restorer's informed attention. The Friends have been truly committed to keeping every possible element of the buildings, every element that could possibly reach back over the centuries to connect us to past residents and their stories. The exterior of the houses has now been restored to their 1838 to 1858 appearance, a period during which they were inhabited by 3 black ship caulkers, Richard Jones, Henry Scott, and John Whittington and their families. Visiting these buildings opens our minds and our hearts more fully to their lives and experiences. Thanks to your efforts, the Caulkers Houses stand as an important marker of a time and a place that still has a lot to teach us. On behalf of the Maryland Historical Trust, I'm pleased to present this Excellence in Restoration Award to Courtney Caput, Chair of the Friends of the Ship Caulkers Houses. Congratulations, thank you for being a great steward of your community's heritage.
Well, the frame certificate was given to me. This was a really big team effort. The Friends group is an all-volunteer board with no staff, and there were just 7 of us. Each of us brought different strengths to the success of this endeavor. From grant writing, research, networking, construction expertise, paint analysis, and a keen understanding of vernacular architecture. Specifically, I would like to thank each of our board members. Sarah Grossman, who is here, who has really been my comrade in arms. She and I wrote grants together. It was almost fun, as fun as grant writing can be. Her research, as well as her webinars and her writing, has really helped amplify and expand the story of the Ship Caulkers. Barbara Weeks is also a researcher and has deep roots in Baltimore's cultural society, is our absolute networker, and really benefited from that amazingly. We have Jackie Shin, who is not here, who also has a preservation background. Not have done it without her. Harold Tucker, who is not here today, but is a contractor and really helped keep us out of trouble throughout the entire process. Then, probably most germane to the actual restoration, and the person whose work elevated the accuracy and the quality of the restoration, is our board member Arnold Caputi, restoration architect. He spent hundreds of hours in the houses trying to and working to understand their construction, looking past the alterations to figure out what the original fabric was in details. Just a quick anecdote on that. For example, when you look at these handsome weatherboards that are on the front of the house, those are actually replicate the width and the rhythm of the original weatherboards, because Arnold was able to find in the door frame stud the original rose head nails that had been left in place when they ripped out the original facade siding, and then they were just hammered in. So using that and then looking at the distance between them, we were able to replicate the width. That's really the kind of attention to detail that we benefited from because of his work. We also benefited from the expert paint analysis of our last board member, Matthew Mosca, whose name's probably familiar to many of you for his paint analysis of the surviving elements. So what you see are true to the period, if not actually colors found on these houses. We all worked so hard on this project, and honestly, we're thrilled with the results so far. So to be recognized for excellence in restoration is very societies. The first being the Society for the Preservation of Federal Hill and Fells Point. David? David, please sit in here. And I'm sure you'd like to say a few words.
Just a few words. Courtney's done a wonderful job in describing the dedication
Yeah, don't let that-
and the dedication of her committee to finding the authenticity, of these two houses, which adds even more meaningful a look at how 18th century, 19th century architecture was put together, and also how people lived in these buildings. So I would like to thank the just a moment. So I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Maryland Historical Trust for its recognition of this groundbreaking restoration project here at Fells Point. With the stabilization and exterior restoration of these two small wooden houses, another story of the multi-layer history of Fells Point can be begun to be told in the depth and the detail that it needs. Here are the faces and names of black ship caulkers who labored anonymously to build the various array of sailing vessels that made Fells Point famous, can be revealed in a way that honors their substantial contributions to the success of the American economy. The Society for the Preservation of Federal Hill and Fells Point is committed to the preservation and protection of the history and architecture of Fells Point, as witnessed by the successful conclusion of this challenging yet rewarding preservation effort. The Preservation Society for the Dedication Report sought a solution that would bring these two small wooden structures back to being part of the vibrant community life of Fells Point. With this award, the Society has achieved its goal. The Society wishes to thank the Friends of the Ship Caulkers Houses and all those who have supported its continuous efforts to preserve the unique and diverse history of Fells Point for the rebirth of these small structures. Over the course of 5 decades, the Preservation Society has worked to ensure that its preservation efforts preserve and protect the legacy of history that is found in Fells Point. Thank you.
I failed to, when I thanked our group, I failed to also mention that the Friends Group Board has expanded by 2. We have Julia Muller, who has joined us, and we have Michelle Bynum, who has joined us, who is photographer extraordinaire and will be very involved in our phase 2, which is the restoration of the interior. For the next award, I'd like to call out C&H Restoration and Renovation, our contractors. Nick and Tim are both here. Can raise your hands, and you can come. Yeah, why don't you come to the front? Yes. Yes. There's 4 of them. I have a couple of anecdotes to share with you about C&H Restoration that will tell you everything you need to know about why they were the right contractors for this job. Beyond the fact that the exteriors are absolutely stunning. The first is a photo, and that photo is in the window over here, and it shows the rear of the structures before any work was done. And you have to admit the appearance would have scared off almost anyone, or at least made them believe that these were tear-down opportunities. These houses didn't scare C&H. They are absolutely fearless, which is what you need in restoration, folks. Secondly, the second are 2 stories, and this just tells you that from the very beginning, they've shared our passion, our commitment, and enthusiasm to saving these buildings. The corner of this house, 614, had dropped about 11 inches, and we believe that happened when the brick house next to it was built and the basement was dug out, and that was very early in the 19th century. So for almost 200 years, the loft, its floors, and plaster walls and framing had settled into a very compromised position. CNH was charged with carefully raising the corner by slowly jacking it up. And as you can see, they were very successful. When we first came back to hear the news that they had actually restored the elevation, when we walked in, the first thing that Tim cried out is, "We saved the plaster," which was all the plaster in the loft space, which is original and 200 years old. To be able to do that is amazing. The second story, like the first, talks about their enthusiasm and their true dedication to preservation. And that is when the layers and layers of roofing were peeled off of 614 to reveal that the original shed dormer was largely intact. Including the original beaded edge board siding, we immediately got a slew of pictures from Tim. And again, the same enthusiasm and joy that that original fabric was still there. The boards were badly deteriorated, but we have kept them in place and then installed new beaded edge boards over them so that the integrity is still there and it's all intact. So Tim and Nick, we are so appreciative of your work, and this certificate is very well deserved. Thank you very much. The linchpin of this and most any project is the support of our elected officials and grant funding. I'm happy to introduce Deli Okafor, Public Engagement Officer, who is here on behalf of Comptroller Learman, who is going to read a citation.
Thank you for having me here. I'm here to represent Comptroller Learman, who couldn't be here today. But as a delegate, she was very instrumental in helping secure funds for this project, and she'll continue to support the comptroller. So I'm here to present the citation that says, "Be it hereby known to all that this certificate of recognition is presented to Friends of the Ship Caulkers House in celebration of receiving the Excellence in Restoration Award from the Maryland Historical Trust. This organization is to have location of the exterior of two unique and delicate buildings on behalf of the Society for the Preservation of Federal Hill and Fells Point, spotlights the original architectural features, and maintains the history of the three black ship caulkers who lived there. My sincere gratitude for its contributions and best wishes for continued success. Presented this day of May 2020, this 10th day of May 2024.
David, you want to come over here? Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
It was our Team 46. It was our Team 46 representative, Senator Bill Ferguson, Delegate Luke Clippinger, Robin Lewis, and Mark Edelson, who supported the $200,000 bond bill that was critical in our ability to complete the exteriors, as initiated by procurement. While Delegate Clippinger is unable to be here today, Kara Wilson, legislative aide, is here on his behalf. Thank you very much. And City Councilman Zeke Cohen. You know, I think he has a few other things on his plate today and in the next 5 days, but it's a testament to your support of our work that you took the time to be here. The City Catalyst grant that we received as a result of your support was really a bridge that allowed us to continue working on the houses while the bond bill was pending, and so we're so appreciative and welcome you safely.
Good, how are you doing?
I got a big voice, so that's fine. Well, let me first just start with a few thank yous. Huge congratulations to everyone for getting to this stage. Thank you so much to David, to Sarah, to everybody that's been pouring your heart and soul into this project. thank you also to Courtney, who is like the world's best nudge. For those that are not familiar with Yiddish, that is someone who pushes, but in really, really good ways, because Courtney refused to, even during the pandemic, allow this project to die, and has been just an absolute fearless advocate and leader. And so to you and the entire board, congratulations. And I just want to say the reason why I thought it was so important to be here today is, look, I started my career as a history teacher over in West Baltimore, and I think it's really important to acknowledge which history gets told and which does not. And I think that in a community like Fells Point, here in Southeast Baltimore, that is so dynamic, that is so diverse, that has experienced so many different waves of growth and industry and arts and culture, I think it is really important that we tell this story about the free black folks that own these homes, and that history not get written out of our books. When I taught in Sandtown and West Baltimore, thought it was really important for our children, particularly children who grow up in this city, to know that there is a proud history, a proud black history in Baltimore. Whether that is our civil rights movement, whether that is Thurgood Marshall, or whether that is Frederick Douglass, who lived just a couple of blocks that way and also owned some homes. And I think that too often that part of our American history gets lost. We all know about the Revolutionary War and the role that Baltimore played in many of our wars, but to center the importance of the freed black caulkers that lived here, that made this their home, that dug in, that made this such a great community, I think is so extremely important. And I'm just so proud of the way this thing looks right now, because it really was looking rough a couple of years ago, to put it charitably, right? We unfortunately had allowed it to deteriorate and fall into some disrepair. And I think it really speaks to some of our spirit of resilience and creativity and innovation that a few folks in this community refuse to allow these houses to fall apart, refuse to allow that history to get lost in the shuffle. And that's why I think this day is so important. That's why I'm so glad for the recognition, because I think this is about not just these houses, but about Baltimore's history, and particularly Black Baltimore's history that too often can get lost in our retelling of what happened here. So I'm just really proud of everybody. I want to say thank you. I brought, as politicians are wont to do, I brought my own City Council resolution. The City Council of Baltimore resolution, be it hereby known to all, the City Council of Baltimore offers its sincerest congratulations to the Ship Caulkers House in recognition of the Friends Group commitment to restoring the historical Ship Caulkers House and preserving its heritage for future generations. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this, the 10th day of May, 2024, signed President Nick Mosby, Councilman Zeke Cohen, and the entire membership of the Baltimore City Council.
Thank you very much. David, want to come over here for a photo?
Michelle, I'm not behind you.
Thank you very well. I'm almost finished, but a lot of people have contributed to the success. Obviously, the weather didn't encourage turnout, but our strong supporters are all here, and I want to name them. The first being Charitable Marine Trust, Tricia Bentz. Here. Tricia and the Charitable Marine Trust have actually been supporters of the Ship Caulkers Houses through an annual grant for years and long before the Friends Group was even formed. So thank you for your loyalty. We also have had organizational support from Maryland Humanities, who has shown real support for our organization through unrestricted grants. Thank you. Pamela Sandoval there. And then we've had in-kind support by Heron Run Archaeology Project, Lisa Krause and Jason Schellenhammer, who did an archaeological dig in the backyard that resulted in 10,000 artifacts that have been meticulously cataloged and saved and tell a really interesting story about the occupants of the houses through the years. Whiting Turner Contracting Company, we have Jay Kuznet here. They have been there for us with big and small requests. He always takes my call. He makes me feel like I'm important. And never says, yeah, that's kind of a dumb question. So thank you very much. I don't know whether James Bond is here from Living Classrooms Foundation, but on our website, which is shipcaulkers.org, we have a 7-minute video. We were lucky enough to have Living Classrooms Foundation invite us to be part of their Black Maritime History movie, and 7 minutes of scenes from the Ship Caulkers are on our website, so it's worth a look. Baltimore Heritage, we have Molly Ricks here. You guys have been champions in terms of promoting us on your social media and just real supporters in every way. We thank you. And then neighbors, Michael Lisicki, who's in the back under that umbrella, has lived across from these houses for, I think, 16 years maybe, and very patiently lived across from these houses and has been a real guardian angel. He's called me, since we've been involved, he calls me if anything's gone awry. He watched over them before we got involved, and he's just a really great neighbor in every sense of the word. I mean, it's what makes Baltimore great. So thank you. And then last but not least, our partner and creator of our logo and branding is Seabury Design, Torm Beasley, who could not be here today. And then I'd also like to thank the Fells Group for your promotion of the event. We appreciate that. They are, so, in conclusion, I'd like to thank everyone for being here who braved the weather. And if you have time to stay for a few minutes, we'd love to show you the unfinished interiors of the houses, shocking as they may be. And it's a little bit muddy in the back, but you can see the rear facades, which are something to behold. I think they're just as stunning as the front facades. So thank you all very much.